Oh, yes. Is it working? All right. Ahem. Freak Ass Friday. What's happening, bosses? What's going on, people? How's it going? What's happening? Wait. Let's get started. I had to restart the computer before this show because even though I was like, okay, everything's up. However, things are acting a little strange. So last time I didn't restart when something was acting a little strange. That's when it froze and I had to redo that. Never mind. You don't need to know this. Happy Friday. How you guys doing? Hello, chat room. What's going on? You're in here. You're in here early. Hit that or a little late because I was a little late because I had the restart. But hit that like for me if you could. Just give a thumbs up to the stream right now. It's going to be a scream at the stream. Yeah, just wherever you are. Yeah, how the chance of meatballs. That's exactly right. I prefer to look at myself more as a very positive Disney character. One day I'll find a girl who's right for me. The problem is because I have long hair, it can't tell whether I'm a boy or a girl, and it won't let you pick just one, which is really aggravating. Anyways, hi. So there's a lot of developments. Obviously, Santos pissing off right now. We go live to George Santos having a Zoom call with his supporters. Okay, next plan. I just move straight to Wyoming and I'll just play the Harriet character for the next 18 months. And then after that, I'll pull a Michael Dorsey, just Tootsie myself right in front of everyone. And then I'll show those Republicans that they can't take advantage of me. They can't do it. God damn it. Something like that. I'm pretty sure that's how it happened. All right. There's a lot to cover today. Where do we even? All right. Let me just run you through it. First of all, here he is, a vision and shit. This is I think this is before the vote this morning. And I think, let's see, was the Greg Kelly one? Yeah, that's the Rick Santorum one. And then, yeah, I think I got that one. Did I? Maybe not. Yeah, hold on. I got to click on this one too. Oh, wait, I do have that one. Yes, hold on. It was the different name. No, okay. So here we go. Hi. There he is. I mean, if you're gonna wear an outfit for your firing, that's the one. And then we go to our dear friends Dinesh in a big billowy shirt. I mean, this is borderline pirate shirt. This is what? It's a pirate shirt. Look how droopy the sleeves are. Did he buy that at the Short and Fat shop and just went, this is good for if you've got jowly arms. I don't understand that at all. Like that is, look where the shoulder is. Whose clothing is he wearing? This is a Seinfeld pirate shirt. How did he get my pirate shirt? How is it even possible? And then, of course, well, this is the best part. The title of this one is, and we'll get to this in a minute, Can Multiculturalism Work in America? I'm fairly certain, and it's hard to tell because the video and the collar or whatever, that Debbie from Venezuela, who's married to an Indian man in an old English shirt, is wearing a qipao. She's wearing a Chinese blouse. Can multiculturalism work in America? Okay, they're either stupid or they're fucking with us. And I think they're fucking with us with their stupidness. And of course, it's a meeting of the shitteries here. And then, of course, how Israel controls the U.S. It's nice to know that Lee Camp isn't above blaming the Jews for stuff. The Jews have got their puppet strings. Their puppet strings. Silk is, she looks aggravated. And she is. Silk is pissed off about being targeted by Jack Smith and the Biden regime. She's not being targeted, by the way. I don't know that there's no target. She might be scooped up in some of this stuff for involvement, but I don't know. Maybe they think she's obviously not the brains of the organization. Or the muscle. Could she be the gristle? We'll find out. What about Diamond? Diamond is dead. Rest in peace. Jamie Comer is going to be covering that Biden piece of paper that the suspicious activity report that Greg Kelly was showing yesterday. And anyway, so let's go back to, let's start where we start. This dickhead has been expelled. He's no longer in Congress. After they voted him out, he took it on the heel and toe and hopped into an Uber and fucked off, which is what he should have done months ago, but whatever. Now, by the way, starts the T tour, I would argue, is that this dude is going to hang, as his court date approaches, try to get maybe some Republican to intercede on his behalf, although I don't know how this would work. That doesn't mean because it won't work or because it's a stupid idea that this isn't his idea. That's the problem. That's the challenge, I would say, for trying to understand George Santos, the marshmallow. It's hard because you're like, I think I know why he's doing this stupid shit, but it's so stupid I can't imagine doing it, and yet he's doing it. Is it possible to be this stupid? Here we go. So and of course, let's go first to is he on? Yeah, he's on Greg Kelly. This is before the vote. Greg Kelly had him on. Oh, Lord Almighty. Greg Kelly, the gift that keeps on giving, ladies and gentlemen. Greg Kelly from Newsmax, the most miserable man on the internet. Captain Sad Sack. Obviously has the easily confused streak that Bongholio has, but with an extra amount of just angry confusion. Let's do it. Here we go.
In the resolution that the distinguished chairman from Mississippi, Mr. Guest, filed, he states that I engage in sexual misconduct when his...
You think he's saying that just because Matt Gaetz is sitting right there? You think because I thought this is the part where he's like, he's a woman beater. But it's interesting that Matt, I didn't really, because the angle on him was different in the angle that I saw. And, or he said that, maybe he said this repeatedly, which is entirely possible. But it's interesting that he brings up the sexual assault stuff in front of Matt Gaetz as a sort of shot across the bow, like, you don't even have to be found guilty of this shit. They'll get rid of you.
His own report states otherwise. That's just a clear evidence of how this process has been skewed, how this process is sloppy, and how it is contradictory to the core. The fact that in the report it states that that was not the case, but they still bring it to the floor of the House of Representatives shows you the lack of respect for one's reputation.
For one's reputation. You don't have a reputation, you fuckhead. You don't have one. You do not have a reputation. Well, yes, you don't have a good reputation. You don't have the kind of reputation that can be ruined. Nobody worries about their reputation as being completely full of shit or being a liar, being ruined. If I start being truthful now, what will people say about me? Like, fuck out of here.
Congressman George Santos.
Well, George Santos, if that is his real name.
Santos, Republican of New York, and I looked it up. He's totally right. The resolution does accuse him of engaging in sexual misconduct, but the ethics report that they talked about all day during that hearing, it actually absolves him of sexual misconduct. George Santos.
Fabulous. It absolves him of sexual misconduct. Does it? Does it, or do you think they... well, I don't know. I'll read it. This was his nitpick point on it. And the sexual misconduct part of it is the debate might be about like whether the other person was cool with it, but it's just workplace stuff. And if we bring that up, then we have to absolve him, because if we don't absolve him, we're going to have to go after Matt Gaetz.
Joins us. Welcome back to Newsmax.
Good Lord. What happened? The flagon. The flagon. What the ever-loving hell is with his face right now? Give me 1 second. Yeah, there we go. So, anyways, what are you talking about? I think he looks fabulous.
That was quite a moment. Do you think you changed any minds today?
No.
Well, Greg, it's not about changing minds. It's about stating facts. This process has been absolute.
Yes, and facts would never change a Republican's mind in any circumstance.
Absolutely sloppy, skewed, and a smear. So much so that they
sloppy, skewed smears. I put all those S's together. Such a lot of fuss over a couple of extra S's.
Rushed and put it together like a bunch of 4-year-olds, and they didn't have regard for truth or honesty.
Dude, do you really want them to just like, do you really want everybody in the press to relitigate why it was brought up in the fucking first place? And why they let it slide in one report, but they included it in the other? Because this is just a stack of the other bullshit that's embarrassing. Because here's the thing. The ethics committee might absolve you of this idea, but your behavior overall that caused it, going, okay, technically this isn't a violation, but it's fucking gross. So they put in all this stuff that you're fucking gross about you, in with all the criminal shit, to go, this guy's gotta fucking go. That's why it's in the resolution, more than likely.
For transparency, do you know the sexual harassment allegations are very damning for one's life? I've always held myself to a standard where I'd never do something of the sort. And
okay, hold on. We got to dig into this. But he's asking for it. Okay, Santos sexual harassment allegations. Now, George Santos accused of sexual harassment. Let's see. George Santos' aide, who, all right. I know it's this old. Get out of here. George Santos' aide, who alleged sexual harassment, details payments to staffer. Derek Myers, 31, says he sent in at least 7 payments of $150 to a top Santos deputy as part of an effort to get a job in the Republican's office. So he paid some dude to get a job there. A man who was briefly an aide to the New York congressman and fabulous George Santos said he got his job after sending payments to a top deputy of the scandal-embroiled Republican. Told Health Ethics Committee staff on Wednesday that in January he was trying to get a job in Santos's office. He sent at least $750 payments to Vish Burra, its director of operations. Shared the details of his account, blah, blah, blah. Myers said he began sending the money unsolicited because he believed Burra, a right-wing operative, was not getting paid and could not afford food. Myers said he hoped the payments might help secure a job. Burra was a powerful person. I wanted him to advocate him. He is a powerful person that's not being paid. A fabulous, Eileen, is a liar. A person who fabricates stuff all the time. It's a compulsive liar. It's just it's a nicer news way of saying that. Yeah, $750. Burrow is a powerful person. Well, now that he's got $750 in his pocket, absolutely. Burrow, who helped escort Santos away from journalists after his arraignment in federal court in New York last month, declined to comment. Former journalist Myers became a legislative assistant. He was concerned by a background check that showed Myers had been charged with a wiretapping in Ohio after publishing a recording of a trial. In February, Myers said he was ousted after he spurned Santos's sexual advances, alleging the congressman ran his hand along his inner leg and touched his groin. Santos denied the allegation, calling it comical. Why would it be? Okay. The Ethics Committee is investigating several allegations of improper behavior by Santos, who's admitted fabricated last month. They did this on Wednesday. Staffers spent 2 hours questioning Myers about his sexual harassment allegation, his relationship with Burra, and whether he witnessed illegal behavior. He described finding Burra online and then pushing for a job. Myers provided documentation, including emails and texts and receipts showing Venmo payments to Burra. Myers said Burra did not ask for the money, but once requested that he send more pizza, which he took to be a reference to a pizza emoji used in Venmo subject lines. Investors asked Myers about text exchange after he was offered the job. Did you get a payroll yet? No, you didn't have to do anything, man. I'm going to pay you back for sure, Burra replied. Myers acknowledged that he secretly recorded at least one conversation with Santos and shared it with a journalist. He also said he went to the FBI with the intention of being an informant. He decided to speak out after the alleged harassment, he said, after he was forced to leave the job. So that's the allegation. That Santos, I guess, here's the thing. If you're going to spy on your boss and try to sell the tea or go to the cops later, maybe get a better microphone so you'd have to lean so close to him that he thinks you're sexually coming on to him. This is that's the Guardian on that one. I think that's the only one. Here's Fox News's take on it. George Santos, former staffer, accused a congressman of sexual harassment violating pay rules. Said he filed a complaint with the U.S. Capitol Police and the Office of Congressional Ethics. I don't know why they have a picture. Tucker, the left says George Santos is dangerous and has to go. Oh, the left. It's the left, is it? Oh, wait. This article's so old. It's back when Tucker was at Fox. That's hilarious. Invited him home and violated how the congressman touched his groin, invited him home and violated ethics pay rules. So that's the allegation part.
The fact that they exonerate me in the report, but then still bring it to the floor just shows you how.
It doesn't seem like they exonerate him. It sounds like they couldn't prove it. And it's a he said, she said situation. I guess he said. Between him and this other guy, and there's nobody else present, so nobody could verify it, so they let it die. But they believed it was enough that where there was smoke, there was fire about it, and it's the fucking Republicans, and it's their own report.
It's not a matter of truth and justice. It's a matter of having a predetermined smear campaign, no matter what.
So
No matter what. Dude, you do realize they had a shit ton of stuff on you already.
Did say the other day, look, you think the numbers aren't going to go your way, but you were out there, Congressman Gates, Congressman Higgins, they were very effective. I want
to Were they, Greg? What the ever-loving hell, man? What is that?
Congressman Higgins, they were very effective. I want to ask you again.
We should have like a rabble. Is he the fucking Hamburglar? Good Lord.
You're getting your facts out. Are people...
Can he say a sentence without a fucking tongue jab?
Coming up to you and saying, you know what? I may have been wrong about some of this. I think you're getting railroaded here. Something's not...
No. Nobody thinks he shouldn't be kicked to the curb for what he fucking did. The only reason these assholes don't want him kicked to the curb is because he hasn't been convicted yet. They think he will be convicted. This one wants him to stay in office until they convict him because he thinks it will be longer than, this time next year for the trial to go through and all that shit. And they can count on his vote because they have a narrow fucking margin. So Higgins doesn't give a rat fuck about the ramifications of the fucking precedent. They need the vote. They have Jesus Christ. Now that he's gone, they have a 3-vote margin, which is, and these guys know they're increasingly, the Freedom Caucus knows they're increasingly just in the minority, a smaller and smaller minority. Meanwhile, this motherfucker is worried that if you can get kicked out for shit you've done without being convicted, he's next. That's it. Both of these assholes have a dog in this fight.
Adding up.
This one wants the dog in the fight to attack more dogs, and this guy is a dog fucker. I'm just going to say it.
Have you heard any of that, or do you think you're actually going to be kicked out?
So, Greg, here's the reality. I'm not campaigning for this, so I'm not talking to people. I'm making them comfortable.
I'm making them comfortable by not talking to them. It's it's a talent that I have. One of my favorite things to do to make people comfortable and put them at ease is to not be around them. It's something a friend of mine recommended to me a while back. And I was like, oh, you think that'll work? And they were like, yeah, and you can start with me. And I was like, that's sweet. I'm making them comfortable. Wah, wah. By the way, that is not a Snapchat filter or whatever. Like that is a frown for the ages.
I'm not campaigning for this, so I'm not talking to people. I'm making them comfortable. I don't.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I'm not talking to people. I'm making them comfortable. Yes, you are.
Don't want to put people in uncomfortable situations. The very few people I
now that Myers has left his office
have spoken to have brought up the wow, that's
they bought it up, have they?
The very few people I have spoken to have brought up the
notice he says bought instead of brought all the time. I pointed it out yesterday when he was on the floor. This motherfucker can't say brought. He just says bought all the time. It's this like stuck Freudian slip that he just can't get off of.
Wow, that's actually interesting. The fact that it's contradictory in the report to what's actually on the resolution has had some people turn their heads. Like, this is damning stuff. This is life-ruining allegations. And these people who are supposed to be responsible.
These people, his fellow Republicans.
Responsible for ethics have and bear no.
No. The ethics committee apparently found you not guilty or not culpable in it, or didn't find enough evidence to put that in there. It's whoever drafted the fucking resolution that put it in there. I don't want to nitpick on this horse shit, but let's be completely honest. When he's like, these ethicsy people, who says they're full of ethics? The ethics committee did exactly what you're saying. They didn't include it, dumbass. That's the whole fucking point both of you morons are making. The resolution itself had it put in there because it doesn't have to follow the ethics thing. They just fucking hate you. And the Republicans drafted that, stupid. It's like it's a bill. It's a specific resolution. The Democrats didn't write this shit up. The ethics committee was done, by the way, bipartisan, because that's how the committees work. And you might have Democrats to thank for it not making it through because the allegations couldn't be held up. The irony.
Ethics in this process, because look at what they did. So yeah, people.
They didn't do anything. The ethics committee did exactly what he would want them to do, and what apparently he thinks the evidence bears out, which is there's no way to verify it, and therefore it shouldn't go through. It's whoever wrote the resolution. This is fucking dumb.
People are pretty pissed off and ticked off because if today it's me, tomorrow it can be them.
Oh, I see. So you were talking to Matt Gaetz. I see.
All right, you did not participate in the ethics process. That's what they said today.
Yeah, well, that's a lifelong thing, though, Greg.
And I don't believe you did testify. At one point, you said you would. Is that because, I think, as Matt Gaetz said, that could complicate your life regarding the federal indictment and other charges? Is that why you did not provide a statement or documents or anything like that?
Yeah. First of all, all right, never mind. I don't even know why I want to get into the nitty gritty of this. It's just stupid. But I just like pointing out that Greg is an idiot. Let's just go with
so
that.
Any attorney would be very smart, and Matt Gaetz, I think, hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, of all people, if anybody tells you not to talk to the ethics committee and they know what they're talking about, it's Matt Gaetz.
But here's the two realities of what they're saying.
Yes, and I know what you're thinking. A habitual liar is telling us about two realities.
They're saying I never cooperated. That's false. Most of the documents they have were given to them through me. A lot of the bank records and statements and all of the financial disclosures into my company's profit and loss balance sheets, all of that was given to them from me. I accrued over $200,000 in legal fees throughout this process. For them to say
Yeah, but it wasn't printing documents, dummy.
Didn't cooperate is yet again another lie. They'll continue to say whatever it is they want because this is a predetermined outcome that they've been sawing and looking for all this time.
They've been sawing? Did he mess up sought and seeking?
This is a predetermined outcome that they've been sawing and looking for all this time.
Sewing, maybe? Sawing. I don't know.
I didn't go to the committee because they gave me a deadline to be in the committee by the same date that I had to be in court in New York.
So that was the one day?
Guess what? I respect the committee.
But I couldn't go any of the other days because I was getting Botox and I had some staff to allegedly sexual harass. And
willing to work with the committee. They said they'd send us a subpoena. I said, all right, send a subpoena. They never sent a subpoena. They wanted me to testify the same day they knew I'd be due in court in New York. So what is...
They don't have to subpoena you for the ethics committee, fuckwad. You're a sitting member of Congress. They don't have to subpoena you for that. It's the... Oh, boy.
It's entrapment. They designed this in some way towards the end to make me fail so that they can have these talking.
They designed this to make me fail so that I would have to give them things that made them see my crimes.
Points.
I want to go to a moment from the congressman from Mississippi. This is B10, purchases of trips. Let's take a look at this.
In addition to these questionable expenses, there were travel expenses, questionable expenses.
Uh-oh. Did he fly down for the white party in Miami?
Involving trips to Atlantic City.
Really? First of all, that's a drive.
Las Vegas, Nevada.
Well, that's worth coming. Come on down. See my girlfriend show Ladylike. Anybody except George Santos.
And the Hamptons.
I just, questionable. You can raise questions, but it's not, is that something you get expelled for?
It's not the trip, you dumb fuck. Oh my God. Ladies and gentlemen, George Santos, who always looks mid-sneeze for some reason, and Greg Kelly, who looks like he's just discovered that his Bait and Tackle magazine has a fucking centerfold. Both these guys. Motherfucker, it's not the destination he got in trouble for. He spent campaign funds and other people's money on it. Some of the campaign funds he got by using credit card information from his fellow Republicans. He charged their credit card for donations to his own campaign. Let me say that again. He had access to their credit cards because of fundraising stuff within the committee. And he charged their credit cards as contributions to his campaign. And then he spent campaign funds to go to Atlantic City, Las Vegas, and the Hamptons. You dumb son of a bitch. What the fuck do you think he's doing? It's not... we're all going to get thrown out for going to the Hamptons just because I never get invited to the Hamptons because the bus doesn't run there.
They did acknowledge that this is, if you go down, this is unprecedented. No one has been kicked out in your circumstances. We got guys like Menendez still serving in the Senate. They're not clamoring for his expulsion, at least not now.
Everybody is.
And he already stood trial. Anyway, your thoughts?
And he hasn't already stood trial.
Well, here's my thoughts. I was campaigning and raising money across the whole country.
Okay, and that required me to charge my first-class plane tickets to the credit card of some of my fellow Republicans personally.
Just look at where the donations were coming from the entire country. I was traveling on campaign business at all times. I spent very little time with my own family throughout the last 4 years.
Yeah, but that's, Are we sure they weren't paying for the trips then?
Because of this process. So again, he's calling it questionable because, again, I didn't have an opportunity to go there and refute and give them what they wanted to show otherwise. But if they weren't so eager to rush this process and allow it to play out the way it does, I mean, look, there's members of Congress who had investigations open into them in 2017 and just had a resolution in 2022 that resulted in a $50,000 fine, $125,000 FEC fine, and it's over. They move on with their lives, but these things take years. They're trying to draw conclusions in 10 months, 11 months. That just tells you it's not fair, it's not balanced, and it's not due process.
Okay, it's also dozens and dozens of never-ending charges and bullshit.
That's the argument I keep making, and they try to keep defending it, but it's not true. It's out in the open. Look at Congresswoman AOC, for example, on the dress story.
Okay, yeah. So look, some of the campaign
That's the dress she wore to the Met. Is how dare she? Because somebody lent her the dress.
finance stuff is very technical, but one thing kind of, well, I could follow it. They allege.
Wait a minute. This must be dumb. If Greg can follow it.
I guess it's in the ethics report that $200,000 was in your super PAC, Redstone Strategies. They allege that you took that money from the PAC, which wasn't registered, and gave it to or transferred it to your personal account. Is that true?
Look, Greg, I haven't gone through this. I haven't unpacked any of this. Obviously, I have a case with the DOJ. I need to be respectful of the prosecutors and the judge in this case.
That's a yes.
Because for me to come out here and start talking about this, obviously I forego my rights, and I also act
Yeah, you can't plead the fifth on Greg Kelly's show, I guess is what you're saying?
in bad faith with all these professionals who have been, in my case, I can't say a negative thing about them because it's been in a very cordial, above board process that we've been engaging in. So for me to come on here and start unpacking this, it's a disrespect to the process that they've.
Yeah, it's just, it would be disrespectful for me to refute these allegations and say I'm not a thief.
Allowed me and afforded me.
I get it. A couple of quick things.
No, you don't. You don't know what the fuck he just said, stupid.
Number one, are you enjoying the notoriety? I mean, you're a freshman college.
Oh, fuck you. Are you enjoying the notoriety? Is this fun? Is this fun? Do you get a better seat on the bus? Are you enjoying the notoriety? Oh my God. And I love that this is Greg trying to be friendly and just, oh, maybe he is. Let's find out.
Still, and we see, reporters from all over the world following your every move. Have you enjoyed
any of this, you weird dandy fuck? Also, look at this fucking tongue.
Reporters from all over the world following your every move. Have you
That feels weird just doing it on purpose.
enjoyed any of that? Just a little bit.
No.
Yeah, aren't you enjoying this? And wouldn't it be nice? No one follows me around. No one asks me to comment on stuff. I'd love that if they asked me.
No, I mean, look, I enjoy meeting people. I'm a people person.
Yes, he's been multiple people. He's so much of a people person, he considers himself people. He uses they, them pronouns in a non-gendered situation just because he's actually plural. A people person. Shut the fuck up.
Met me, I'm chatty. I like talking to people, but
But except when I would be disrespectful to the people who I've been above board with at the DOJ.
I don't enjoy it. But here's the deal. They did this. The New York Republicans, they did this. They
did this. They elected me. It's their fucking fault. I didn't want to do this. I was busy. I was setting up a business to be a TV psychic and sell timeshares in a pyramid scheme concurrently with my weight loss serum. And they're like, please run for office. And I was like, okay, I don't have enough to do. Let's see.
Needed this entire fantasy, an obsession, because they just would keep giving it oxygen all throughout the year.
this whole fantasy. What fantasy? You?
Now they want to capitalize off of the notoriety they gave me at all costs, because still till this day, most people in America couldn't point out most of them in a lineup if their lives depended on it. But my name is enshrined forever.
But my name is
in American history.
My name is enshrined in American history. You sure you don't like that? Just a little bit? Just a little bit? Also, if they can't wait to capitalize off of you and you're getting all this notoriety and they aren't, then why don't they want to keep you a fucking round so that they can go, hey, I ain't that fucking guy. Look who New York will elect. Can you imagine that, like, if there was any fucking brains in the Republican Party, most of them would want to keep this asshole around simply so they can go, don't fuck him. You think I'm corrupt? I'm not even on the chart with this motherfucker. And look at the big state of New York. Those New Yorkers, man, those elite New Yorkers, they'll elect. Look who they elect. He's right there. Listen to him.
You have acknowledged telling lies. You lied about college. You did that on this show. You said the lie. You went to Baruch because you wouldn't have got the nomination without, having a college degree.
It's not a lie if they make you lie.
I don't think anybody voted for you because you did or did not go to Baruch, by the way.
They couldn't possibly vote for you because you did or didn't. They voted, all of it was on false pretenses.
But I guess it
guess if I really think about maybe
comes down to
come down to what else can I say to this asshole to get me through this segment.
Any regrets in all of this? You must.
And regrets, I've had a few.
Absolutely. Look, Greg,
Absolutely, I regret a lot. I regret coming on this show repeatedly. I regret this tie vest combo.
I didn't have regrets, I'd be an arrogant person and a
Oh, you mean like Donald Trump?
glutton for punishment. If I can
And a glutton for punishment. So you regret being punished.
do a lot, I do a lot different. I'd associate with different people. I'd stay away from some, and I would have just followed different processes and better guidance. Unfortunately, that's not the case. I can't change the past, but I can change the future. And I can start by...
No, you can't change the future. You can act in the present. And by the way, that's, saying you can change the future is exactly what this motherfucker's talking about. Like, if I get in trouble again, I'll just lie again.
Just, acknowledging my...
I'll change the past of my future if that helps.
mistakes and moving forward with my life.
If you want to be president like Joe Biden someday, you got to start lying a lot more, all right? By my count, he's about 1.5 million lies ahead of you. Look, George Santos, what an interesting spot to be in.
It's interesting. It is interesting.
Good luck.
Good luck with that vote that I don't know why I'm the only guy having you on to back you.
Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for being with us. The fuck? What do you think? He's busy?
Thank you, Greg. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you, Greg. You, Greg. Honest to God, I appreciate you, Greg. We all do. Greg, let me tell you something. I appreciate you. My chat appreciates you. And especially the part where you very well may be the dumbest motherfucker working in phony news today. I'm just saying, it's so impressive. Hold on, is this guy? There we go. I don't know why this page, there we go. That's better. Now you're talking. You said, move that over just a touch. Much better looking. Excellent. Hi, you're watching House Sparks Mega Worldwide. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, let people know we're here. So that's his final appearance on Greg Kelly until he gets his job at Newsmax. And next up, we have a double shot of Dinesh. But we're going to go to Dinesh and Debbie right here. So Dinesh, I don't know what the fuck the outfits are today. I seriously don't. I don't know where that shirt that shirt is. It's like if he doesn't say something like, this was my dad's shirt, and I write it whenever I'm going through file folders, I'm not going to get this. And Debbie is obviously only there so that she can out-racist him. But let's bring it in. Can multiculturalism work in America? Says a a woman, I guess, of Hispanic descent from Venezuela, and an Indian American felon.
Debbie and I are, well, this week we're doing
We're a troubled couple.
a Thursday roundup rather than a Friday roundup.
Yeah, because you got big plans for the weekend. Debbie D'Souza, who's the producer of the Dinesh D'Souza podcast, which is something you've never heard of.
And we want to start by talking
Oh, well, that's a great way to start a podcast, I will say, is talking.
about the issue of multiculturalism. Now, for several decades, we've been assured that multiculturalism is the way to go.
It is the way to go.
It's an unadulterated good. It's a great blessing to society's cultural enrichment.
Yeah, the cultural enrichment as far as multiculturalism, yeah, is culturally speaking.
Diversity of peoples and cultures and cuisines and ideas.
Cuisines, I call them cousins, and many of them I won't let move into my house, but a couple I would.
And presumably this is a lot better than having, well, I guess you'd call it a homogenous or maybe a monocultural society.
Like, for example,
Now,
the places both of you guys, your families left, you mean, essentially?
I think that first
Oh, it's way too, this one's loud? I beg your pardon. Okay, thank you.
of all,
Oh, it is.
the idea of monocultural societies is not right. I mean, it's silly. Why? Because societies that seem monocultural on the surface. Look at India. India is pretty monocultural in the
It is.
sense that
Seems
it's Indian people all over the place.
That's true. India does have a lot of Indian people all over the place.
But 23 different languages, a vast, for many, many different religions, at least
Right.
7 or 8 major ones, and then a bunch of minor ones.
Yeah, the little ones, the minor league religions are really the troublemakers, I would
People
say.
eat different types of cuisine.
They eat their own cousins like that?
Hindustani is only spoken in one part of the country, not the other. So the
Yeah, that other place, the non-Hindu place.
idea
yeah.
that India is a monoculture is not even true. It's just that the Indians resemble each other. They're all brown, but they're
I see. So there's multiculturalism inside India. And India, you would argue, is a successful state or a failed state?
very different in many ways. Japan is a homogenous society. What's wrong with Japan? Nothing at all.
Well, it's aging really fast, and they can't replace their population because you're only Japanese if you're Japanese. That's an issue.
Ireland is 90 or 92% white. What's wrong with that? Nothing at all. And yet, there are people in Ireland, including apparently the Irish Prime Minister, who thinks Ireland is too white. Ireland needs to let in more Muslims.
Right. Again, the multiculturalism, why we're going after by the way, there's lots of different Irish as well. Apparently that's okay for the Indians. They can be multicultural inside their own culture because they all look the same. If the Irish span some other cultures as well, that doesn't count because they're white. I don't know. Dinesh, it sounds like you're being very racist. Also, for the record, can we do ourselves a favor? I'm not taking either of these idiots seriously in what they're talking about. Don't get caught up into thinking that this is a real conversation about shit.
More brown people and more black people, because apparently he's bought into the idea that multiculturalism is a great idea and that there's something wrong with a country being 92% white. Now, I want W, of course, to weigh into this, but I mean, think about this. Nobody else says this, right? Have you ever heard an African leader go, the Congo is too black? No, they never say that. Somalia
Actually,
is too black. They never say that. They assume that Africa is a black continent, largely for black people. There are, of course, some whites in South Africa and so on.
yeah, it's a great example.
But
I would argue that might be the primary reason why they don't say Somalia is too black. I think South Africa might just kind of sit there as a little.
what do you think about this?
Yeah, come on, Debbie. Just when we thought Dinesh couldn't be more embarrassingly racist for no particular purpose, Debbie, jump in and show us how it's done.
We're talking about you were saying there's only one type of multiculturalism that works.
Well, as someone who came to this country not speaking English, right? I picked it up really quickly, but I didn't speak it, and I really didn't like it.
Yeah, and I got to say, most of us aren't really that impressed.
But I knew, even as a 10-year-old, I knew that
I'd have to keep my accent so that I would, oh, wait.
this was my adopted country. Of course, my mother is Mexican American from the Rio Grande Valley, but even in some parts of that culture, they retain the Mexican culture more than the American culture. So they celebrate Cinco de Mayo, they celebrate all the Mexican festivities and all of that.
Yeah, but they also celebrate July 4th. That's not more. That's just an addendum. I'm sorry, that's my bad. I suddenly started taking this conversation seriously.
And not so much the 4th of July and all of those things. Well, I was determined to do that, not retain the nationality of, I guess, of my own culture, because I had two cultures. I had the Venezuelan culture and the Mexican American culture.
So the American culture. So by calling it Mexican American, you're retaining some of that Mexican heritage and at the expense of America. How dare you? How dare you, Debbie? How dare you? The nerve.
But I decided very early on
That if you spoke English, you would speak it like a Karen.
that I was going to be an American, and
Well, that's because you are an American.
that American values, American history was going to be important in my life and in my offspring whenever I had a family, that was important. So
Yeah, who does that? Who comes to America with that idea? I mean, has somebody told other immigrants this? Because apparently this is a new idea.
that is why when I went off to college and
wasted your time, obviously, and got indoctrinated into leftist propaganda and became a cultural Marxist.
LULAC came knocking at the door.
LULAC, League of United Latin American Citizens. And some of these guys are really radical. They're like, well, half of the United States should be given back to Mexico.
Yeah, they had very La Raza mentality, and they couldn't understand why I was not embracing that.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? I mean, we all know about LULAC. It's a constant struggle. And never mind the folks in Mexico that wish that the northern parts of Mexico had been grabbed up by the United States so they could have the economic benefits of being part of the United States, that talk about that shit all the time. But, right.
And basically, they started calling me kind of a sellout, and that, I thought I was Anglo and this and that. And basically, I had only
The nerve. How dare they?
been in the United States about
LULAC Lemon. It's Meadowlark's sister.
8 years at this point. So Spanish
She made $1 billion in tights.
was still very much my
Which I think, so have the guys in KISS. So, there you go.
language. I still spoke it very well. And
almost native, yeah.
Right. And
Almost native. Fucking hell.
so then I decided, you know what, I'm going to go full Spanish on this guy. Turns out he couldn't even speak it. So
Oh my God. It's so ironic, isn't it? And this anecdote is totally true, guys. I'm not making up any of this. And it's just, I dunked on this person, and if you don't believe me, you can ask my Canadian girlfriend, who's totally real and calls me all the time.
I was like, really? So you're
Really? Oh, but I said, like, really, but in Spanish.
telling me that I can't embrace my Latin American culture
And roots.
and you can, and yet I speak the language and you don't. So I think he kind of
Which language? Maybe he speaks Oaxacan or something like that, because Spanish is not the cultural language. Spanish is a European language. Maybe he spoke Nahuatl or something like that. Maybe he spoke I mean, it's even possible he spoke Portuguese, but of course, Portugal is, not a South American country too. So,
Left me alone at that point and decided
yeah, I mean, he probably was looking for the exits.
that I was kind of a lost cause.
Yeah.
But I always felt like the only
The dumbest person in the room.
way to really make it work is to assimilate in the society that you came to.
Yeah, I think
Right?
this is the point you're making.
Unlike these other fucking stupid immigrants with their stupid accents and their stupid not being Americans, First of all, again, the amount of bigotry in just that little bubble right there that she's just here's just a giant egg of bigotry. Just crack that open and fry it on the fucking sidewalk.
The larger point is this, that
Yeah, get to it.
there is a type of multiculturalism that can work,
Oh, good.
but it's a multiculturalism that is incorporated within and subordinated to a shared national identity.
Right.
Right? So if we all embrace the Constitution, we all embrace the laws, we embrace
That's not culture.
patriotic symbols, we defend
Again, even that part, you don't. That's rudimentary to the idea of moving there. That's not cultural.
the country and its values, then it
Which values would that be?
doesn't matter if you want to go eat, chicken tikka masala, or I do, and somebody else wants to.
Or she definitely doesn't. And by the way, chicken tikka masala, you fucking you're gonna go with like fucking grocery store Indian food.
Eat enchiladas.
Someone really liked that
So somebody
chicken
does-
tikka masala.
He does. We microwave it every night. It's just like his mom used to microwave.
Once about every 2 weeks, I kind of get the Indian. But the thing about Indian
no, I
food
would
too is
say-
that Debbie's like,
yeah.
in fact, at one point you were like, I'm going
Oh boy, oh dear, this is about to go so bad.
to make it for
I
you.
know.
And then you
Yeah.
realize that when you look
Yeah.
at the recipe,
Oh,
you
my
were
gosh.
expecting like
The
4 or
list,
5.
the list of ingredients is
Alone.
endless, endless. And I said, you know what, honey? I think we'll just go eat at Emerina.
That's right. We pick a local restaurant and
It's an Indian restaurant where they make it for us, and I buy it at like everyone else does, and it's so authentic.
so I think this is right. There is multiculturalism that can work, but it has to work within a patriotic framework.
Great, thanks, bro. Thanks. I feel yeah. We do it can. So people can remember their home country and support it as long as they came here for a reason, like you would do. And so the problem with that entire video was that the premise is that they don't. Is that people who come here don't come here with that idea. They bring their multicultural idea, they bring their culture from their country and they want to impose it on the United States, which they never fucking do. They seriously don't. And by the way, I would say the only example you'd see that plays out that way is Latin American Catholics as a large group being pro-life and wanting more restrictions on abortion politically than the vast majority of Americans who've been here longer. That group, you know what I mean? Like that's the only difference. And even then, the more they live here, if they have kids here and they're a couple generations in, their ideas about it even out to the rest of it as well. Yeah, it's citizenship. Exactly, Paul. These fucking idiots. Thank you, Tyler, for subscribing. That's very cool. All right. Thanks, Tyler. That was great. So, Dinesh values. Whew. All right. Now, Dinesh part 2. Here he is with Ellis from Die Hard. In front of, by the way, is that what do you think, green screen bookcase? I can't tell if that's like real and just blurry. It looks like it. It looks like a green screen bookcase. And I love the fact that this dipshit, that Don Jr. has to have Rumble on his thing, which makes me think they do it at the Rumble Studios, wherever that is. He's got a fucking Rumble mic brick. That's fucking amazing. which like he's an employee of Rumble now. That's what this triggered podcast on Rumble is all about. This is a clip that Dinesh put up, though. So Dinesh pulled this as a great example of his own, conversation skill. This is the American police state is worse. Listen, look at this. The American police state is worse than we can even imagine. Now, I would show you again, if I could, without getting a copyright strike, the scene from Left Behind 2 Tribulation Force, starring the uber macho Kirk Cameron, where a couple of UN troops are like beating up some kids for trying to steal some food because they're starving, and Kirk Cameron goes, "Hey," and they stop, and until he leaves, and then they shoot the kids, and then he doesn't do anything, and it's very weird. It's a very weird scene. But obviously that didn't happen. That hasn't happened. It's not real, but somebody can imagine it. I think what we're really facing in this clip is the total lack of imagination of these two idiots. Okay, here we go. Triggered, which is the Don Jr. podcast, special guest, Dinesh D'Souza.
How much worse is the police state than we ever even imagined? I mean, again,
you can't. You're setting him up, really? Didn't you read the title? It says the American police state is worse than we can even imagine. I guess it's a matter of degree.
I know it's bad. We've been woken up.
I know it's bad.
Up to that. Our eyes are open.
They are open. They are glassy and they are open.
But it seems so
like nobody notices that we're in a police state, which you would think if you were in a fucking police state, people would know.
So much worse than we could have possibly imagined, like so much else that we're getting our eyes open to.
That's right. We can't even imagine how terrible is it, guys, how terrible this is. And it's even more terrible now that our eyes are open. I'm woke. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the police state is rendered even more creepy by the fact that it marches behind the banner of law. And so,
oh, God, this is going to hurt.
So if you follow the business with Jack Smith and Beryl Howell,
oh, believe me, he's following the business with Jack Smith. Trust me.
Judge, Jack Smith makes a motion. She approves the motion. Then Jack Smith suggests that your father, Donald Trump, might be a flight risk of some sort. The judge goes, yeah, that might actually be the case. So I guess what I'm saying is that you've got this naked brutality.
Okay, first of all, fucko, anybody who has a plane of their own is a flight risk. Of course he's a flight risk. He's got multiple passports, which we discovered when they went through his shit, and he's got a fucking plane. That's the very definition of a flight risk. Okay, secondly, that never happened. They didn't take away his passport. They didn't deny his ability to leave the country. None of that shit. He can still leave. There's a big concern that this dumb motherfucker, his dad, might throw some of the boxes he's got at Bedminster on the fucking plane and bug out and go bunk with Snowden.
This absurdity of collecting all the people who like President Trump's tweets. Why would you want to do that unless you were trying to create some sort of database, some kind of list of political enemies, so that if not Jack Smith, somebody else in the Democratic camp could start going after those people?
All right. I don't know what the fuck he's referring to. The idea that the Department of Defense or the DOJ is now, anybody who likes a Trump tweet is now on a fucking list is dumb. If they coordinate it, if you have somebody who showed up on January 6th, they're going to look backwards at what they've said on social media and try to go, okay, this is a chain of events. This person, we can see what ones, not that they liked Trump's tweets, but that they liked specific ones, like the come on January 6th, it'll be wild stuff. It's directly related to the charges against them.
So, but all of this is done as if to say we're going through a legal process. So
we are going through a legal process. It is a legal process. All this asshole is saying is we don't live in a police state.
Our police state pretends to be saving democracy and upholding the rule of law and affirming freedom and protecting truth from misinformation and disinformation. So the job of a movie like mine is to strip the facade, remove the veil, show
and replace it with an even dumber facade and an even dumber veil.
people the sheer thuggishness that lies behind this emerging police state.
Oh, wait. Hold on. It can't be worse than we ever imagined and still be emerging. I'm sorry. My imagination is much better than that. I can imagine like the Boston Dynamics drone dogs with I don't know, syringes on them that can inject either poison or knockout drops into you that climb up on you and go and sneak in people's rooms, and they can like send a little EMP pulse that shuts down your I don't know, your ADT system or your Simply Safe or your fucking Ring system, and so you can't see them coming, and then flying drones that come in and gas everyone, and or Terminators. I can imagine all of that, and you're saying it's emerging and it's worse than that, but it isn't there yet, but it's still here, but it's just you're not noticing. It's just because the...
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of the movie you hope you never actually have to make, right? I mean...
Dinesh Does Dallas? Yeah.
And this feels like, you know, some sort of, you know, despotic film.
It does feel like a despotic film, a despotic film. It does feel like that. Like there's a film and it's about a despotic kind of despoty thing. I don't know why that word is stuck in my head. Must be the blow.
But it's a documentary because it is actually happening. It means...
No, it's not, and no, it isn't.
Means things have gone from bad to worse.
Well, for you.
You know, what did you learn, you know, while putting it together that perhaps you weren't aware of otherwise?
Considering you're making this up, what did you imagine when you were imagining this?
Talk about that process where it started, you know, to where you got to the...
Tell us what happened when you made this shit up.
The finished product and what you learned in that process.
I wrote this on a piece of paper, and I'm so fucking bored right now.
Well, part of it, you know, the start of it was I was thinking back to my...
I'm a professional interviewer. I wrote stuff right here. I learned how to look down at my notes from Greg Kelly.
Early career in America and how I always thought of America as the leader of the free world. I contrasted America with the unfree world, which of course...
Well, that was, I guess you'd have to.
...was North Korea, China, the old Soviet Union. And then I said to myself, well,
aren't we basically them?
Let's make a list of the defining characteristics of these tyrannical societies, these police states around the world. You have mass surveillance of citizens, systematic censorship, ideological indoctrination in the schools and the...
Right. None of this shit is happening in the United States.
Media. You have criminalization of political differences, the attempt to lock up the leader of the opposition party. You have political...
Yeah, no. In the other countries, they just push them out a fucking window, or they lock them up for being the political opposition.
Prisoners. So I go down that checklist and I...
And by the way, Gen Xers aren't political prisoners. They weren't snatched up because they were meeting in a fucking basement planning to do a march someplace. They attacked the fucking Capitol. It's not even all of them, asshole.
I say, well, how many of those things do we see now?
None.
Here in the United States? And
none.
The answer, dismayingly, is all of them, to one degree or another.
Yes, to one degree or another. We have like, in my perception, in my paranoid fantasy, 8% of the kind of dictatorial surveillance you would see in China, for example, where they have a camera on everyone and they can weld people into their apartments. We have like 8% of that. So to a degree...
all the defining features of police states are now evident in our own country. It's a...
No. There are comparable... we have police. That's it. That's the degree.
It's a shocking and disturbing realization.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly seems that way, right? When you think of the other...
No, it certainly does not.
Other police states of the world, obviously, I think, you know, China comes to mind, right?
It does, China.
Right?
Where your brother Eric was drumming up money and your dad got $17 million into his secret bank account for killing TPP. You mean that China? I get all the Chinas mixed up.
You know, we're not really different. That perhaps.
Yeah, we fucking, well, hey, here's, and you know what, I take it back. If we're not really different, do your show from there, you dumb motherfucker. How about this? Try uploading your show to Rumble without a VPN from China. Go to China, film an episode, don't use a VPN, and try to log into Rumble. We're really not that different.
Perhaps the only difference that I can actually think of at this point is that there
That you can get better blow in Miami.
are still those out there in America who are naive enough to believe that we are actually different. You know, that
Look, for all the shit that these assholes give Anthony Fauci, for example, I'd like to remind everyone that the doctor that discovered effectively, or that tried to raise the alarm about COVID-19 in China is dead because he was shut down and forced to work without proper equipment in a COVID ward, effectively caught it and died. Because, and by the way, that's if you believe the Chinese story about it. That's if you believe he actually died from the sickness.
we are the constitutional republic that, you know, everyone says we are. It's like, no, we're not. We're actually living in that same police state.
No, actually, you're not.
So, which probably
Well, I beg your pardon. We're not. You are, because you're just getting caught criming. And I'm sure the mob felt the same fucking way.
makes it worse because, you know, until guys like you are making movies like this, or guys
Yeah, before that happens, we don't even know we're living in a police state. We're too busy doing shit all the time and not having a problem.
like me are calling it out, or they see what's going on to my father, you know, you're living in
What's going on to my father?
a world, you know, through rose-colored glasses. You know, we're looking at a prism that is painting a much more beautiful picture than what actually exists. What are the sort of police state tactics that you expect to see in the next year that lead up to this?
Yeah, tell us what. And obviously, none of this shit is actually happening. So tell us what's gonna happen. Worst case scenario, so I don't look like a complete paranoid fuckwad sitting here blathering about this. Help me fill this in with content. I don't even understand these questions.
Selection, because I imagine there's going to be a lot of them, and a lot that
Well, again, to you,
haven't been talked about
yeah, we're looking through rose-colored prism glasses.
yet, or haven't been done yet, beyond the lawfare, what they're trying to do to my father currently.
Absolutely. Look, we are not a full-fledged police state, because if we were, I couldn't make a movie called Police State.
Weird. Yeah, that had occurred to me.
So we are
And you wouldn't be able to publicize it or talk about it with the son of the guy who's on trial.
an emerging police state. I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, we are somewhere around 6.
Get the fuck out of here. Somewhere around 6. And, you know, 1 is kind of around 6 if you're talking about like scales like the thousands.
But I'm also struck by the speed at which we have gone from 1 to 6. So while all of this may go back to 9/11 and some of the expansion of surveillance powers given to the government at that time, the truth
Yeah, it's weird that around the nation's capital, if there was ever an attack on it, that our DOD and Pentagon and our functioning federal government would be able to look at everyone, like geolocate people or use facial tracking around the Capitol building. Why would we even do such a thing? Isn't that an attack on people's freedoms to not let them attack us?
of it is much of this has happened just under Biden. So just in the last 2 years. And the
Okay, what's changed in the last 2 years?
pretexts are somewhat different. Some of it could be COVID, some of it could be January 6th, but whatever the pretext, the movement is in the direction of greater unfreedom. So
Unfreedom.
I think that we are now at a critical
Like what? What movement? What's the thing? What can't we do that we could do before? We can't do now because they're using Jan 6 or COVID to stop us from doing that thing. One fucking thing. Where's the heightened surveillance? If you haven't materially, physically aided and abetted an attack on the Capitol, what changes in your overall freedoms, if you're not out on fucking bail, in which case you have conditions of release, which is what Trump has right now, what freedoms of yours have been curtailed versus 5-10 years ago?
Point where the big question is, what will the opposition do? What will the Supreme Court do? What will the Republicans do?
What will this asshole do to try and sell this premise?
What will Republican attorneys general and secretaries of state do? Because it's my firm view that the passivity of the Republicans provokes the aggression of the Democrats and of.
Oh, I see. So, you know how they were saying that Joe Biden is weak, and that's what provoked Russia to attack Ukraine and Hamas attack Israel, and he's just weak, and that's why they're doing this. Well, apparently that kind of authoritarian shit rolls downhill because it's the weakness of the Republicans that are making Joe Biden turn us into a police state.
The left. It's like a bully.
Because they're taking advantage of it.
If he finds that the kids are all running scared, the bully gets even more excited and wants to
Oh, you don't have to tell him that.
increase the bullying tactics. The moment the kid
Is that how they do it? Is that how anybody know how a bully works? Do they increase the bullying tactics?
kids decide, let's get together and ambush this guy in the back alley and kick him in the shins, then he's
The shins. Ow. This is okay. So this is some serious bullying we're talking about. So right now, on a scale of 1 to 10, the police state has got us cornered in an alley and is shin kicking us.
going to feel a taste of his own medicine. Then the bully begins to think twice.
How
I
much
see.
worse?
Hold on. Wait. I got that backwards because this is gibberish. Say that
My
again.
firm view that the passivity of the Republicans provokes the aggression of the Democrats
Yeah, you show weakness, we're gonna pounce.
and of the left. It's like a bully. If he finds that the kids are all running scared, the bully gets even more excited and wants to increase the bullying tactics. The moment the kids decide, let's get together and ambush this guy in the back alley and kick him in the shins, then he's going to feel a taste of his own medicine. Then the bully begins to think twice.
I see. So the idea is that what he's not advocating for political violence, but he is saying that we should, as a people, metaphorically, rise up and kick the police state in the shins. Ugh. I would like to say there is a silver lining to this story, a little bright spot, if I may. This is the worst performing movie that Dinesh D'Souza has ever made. Of all of his movies, and obviously because of Trump pushing the fucking 2000 Fools movie, that one did probably the best. And so there's definitely a huge drop off. But this one financially and as far as awareness is shitting the bed like no other movie. It is in the worst position. That's why he's been selling it so much. So it's not because his sales pitch is ass or that the premise is goofy. It's that it's terrible. It's just poorly put together and a waste of time, just for the record. Just in case you were wondering. By the way, you're watching Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up. Now, if I may, let's jump over to see this because I need to see what Comer's take is on this. You guys got to sit through this with me because I'm not going to suffer alone through this horse shit. That this suspicious activity report that clearly came from a pro-Trump maggot at one of these banks is now part of the conversation, and it's been floated around. And again, it comes from 2018.
Congressman James Comer highlights Hunter Biden's suspicious transactions flagged his bank in 2018. Here's One America's John Hines.
Chairman James Comer of the Oversight Committee, sir, you have some very interesting information which became available to your committee. It was, I guess, a report from one of the banks, an
a report from one of the banks.
investigator, I believe. What did he say about some of these transactions?
Not an investigator, just
with Hunter Biden and the money that he was receiving from some of these foreign entities.
Yeah, John, well, what we released yesterday was an email from the top compliance officer from one of the banks where the Bidens were banking. This is a very credible, reputable, big regional bank.
Okay, so they decided, let me get this straight. It's a credible regional bank, very big, very credible regional bank. And the Bidens decided to run their money through a credible big regional bank. So do you think the mistake was that, was committing a crime at all, or just not getting an account at Deutsche Bank?
And what this compliance officer did is kind of the snapshot of how a bank would make a decision of whether or not to file one of those suspicious activity reports to Treasury, indicating that they fear their client has broken the law. And in the email, it went down all the list of potential red flags and violations from the transaction. And it was a $5 million wire from China. The first thing the examiner noticed was this went to—
Look at him stacking Chinese yuan.
To a pretty much dormant account in a company.
Nice B-roll.
That served no purpose, which is what we've been calling a shell company. And
Oh, I see. You've been calling it a shell company.
And it was a $5 million wire
of China money.
China, which the size of the wire and the fact that it was from China would be a
would automatically trigger this red flag thing.
Red flag for any account, but when you throw
for any, there it is, ladies and gentlemen, there it is. There it is.
And it was a $5 million wire from China, which the size of the wire and the fact that it was from China would be a red flag for any account.
There you go. Would be a red flag. So these suspicious activity reports, which since 9/11 there have been hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of them, millions of them. Yeah, anybody would get.
But when you throw in that it's an account that clearly was a fake account from.
It's a fake account. So this big regional bank that's very respected has fake accounts.
From a fake company, that was a red flag. And then the fact that it was.
Well, it's a brand new company. It was actually a joint venture. It was put together for the specific purpose of buying this thing. It didn't exist before. It was new. That was seed money. That happens all the time. It happens all the time in Delaware.
From a politically exposed person.
Why is he politically exposed? His dad was out of office.
Meaning someone of great influence.
So former vice presidents are people of great influence, and if they do any kind of $1 million business, then we should be concerned. Let's see. Hold on one second. Let's see. Scroll this down. Hold on. I have to just see. Whoops. Just looking something up right now, if I may. Where's the? Yeah. Okay. Hey, like just for example, Richard Dick Cheney, if I may. Why is this? No, you're closing up. Open up everything, you silly. Richard Dick Cheney over here. Get back up here. Open this guy too. Oh, there we go. Sorry, chat room. There you go. His net worth right there, $150 million. There it is. Just so I guess it wouldn't be as big a surprise if he got money coming in from overseas.
And they looked, and obviously the politically exposed person is the vice president's son.
Okay, what politically exposed? If there's not like a bigger bullshit phrase in all of this nonsense, I have yet to hear it.
And they had read press accounts where at the
they just read press accounts?
This particular time, the vice president's son was on drugs. He was in bad financial shape.
So this person just working at the bank during the Trump administration had just saw this deal happening, and they'd read news stories.
This was according to his ex-wife, so they had seen that in press accounts, and they
Hunter's ex-wife
knew that China was buying influence with American politicians
and former politicians, I guess. Which how does that work?
through vulnerable children. That's just one of the ways China gains influence. That's the way one.
Yeah, that's how they gain influence, is to find somebody who's no longer in politics and do a deal to buy a company in the United States that they actually want.
That China gets their foot in the door in American policy. They do it through politicians, family members.
Well, in this case, former politicians.
Susceptible family members. So
susceptible family. Well, I mean, the impervious family members, you wouldn't be able to pull that off at all.
All these boxes were checked. And that's what the compliance officer was notifying the head of the bank. Look, we've got a problem here.
No, there was a maggot at that bank is what it is.
And, this could be...
it's like, seriously, this is QAnon shit. This is how we find out that the bank had a QAnon at their fucking place. And one of the reasons we're going to find out later is that the name of this person was redacted, not to protect them, but because they were fired for being a psychopath.
Bribery. This could be money laundering.
It could be a valid business investment. And the seed money for a greater investment that would grow from there, which is why it was done at a regional bank.
This could be tax evasion because they were trying to claim it was a loan. That was the last thing I'll say, John. I'm sure the compliance officer reached out to Hunter Biden and said, "What is this $5 million wire?" And obviously he or someone replied back that it was a loan. I mean, how many more loans? We didn't know that was, so that was a loan too. That puts it about $13 or $14 million in loans that the Bidens have got. So
that money isn't, he didn't take that out. Rob Walker got that. This is a CEFC payment for the other place. We've talked about this a bunch.
The bank compliance officer said what I've been saying when Joe Biden said that $250,000 check we found was a loan. Okay, provide the loan.
That wasn't $250,000. There's 200 at one point and 40 from his sister-in-law.
Documents. Well, they couldn't.
Nitpicking, I don't care.
Provide loan documents, John, because it was not a loan. And then the last thing in that letter, I mean, there was so much in that one paragraph. It said that if Hunter Biden's in fact a financial advisor and he's taking fees out, the normal fees for an investment would be between 2 and 5%. They said he took 58% for fees. So, every red flag.
He didn't take $2.5 million out for fees.
In banking that could be.
This was flagged on the wire for the money coming in, not where it went.
Was posted in that email. And
hold on, let me see if I can get a copy of this letter. Let's take a look at it. Bank memo, Hunter Biden. Top oversight slams deal keeping Hunter Biden hearing out of public view. To release bankruptcy dealing Hunter Biden. Community bankrupt member. Where is it? Biden investigates oversight releases new Hunter Biden memo showing payments from foreign oligarchs. Whatever. Is that it? Hold on. Devin Archer transcribed interview. Blah blah blah. I'm looking for it right now. Thank you so much, CSL. There it is. This is the guy. Here it is. Bless you. Love you for that. Hi. It opens importance. Hi. And it also opens. Hi. We've been monitoring the subject customer due to the PEP designation, and observations on the account activity as well as recent negative news indicate this entity to be high risk. Hold on. PEP designation. Politically exposed person. That's why he calls it that. This is a politically exposed person designation. Since the initial funding of $5 million from Northern International Capital Holdings, HK Limited, on 8/8/17, as a business loan, it was noted that there was no loan agreement document submitted. The funds in the account have primarily funded 16 wires ranging from $174.99 to $400,000, totaling 2.9 to blah, blah, blah. Clearing Services, LLC, further, Owasco PC, law firm in D.C., further credit, so multiple things. These payments were indicated as management fees and reimbursements. We find it unusual that approximately 58% of the funds were transferred to the law firm in a few months, and the frequency of payments appear erratic. It was also previously indicated that Hudson West 3 LLC does not currently have any investment products at this time, which raises further concerns as the millions are being paid, but does not appear to have any services rendered by Owasco PC. Furthermore, there's been negative news regarding the beneficial owner of Owasco PC. That's his business company, which is different because that's not the money this was wired into. It's just he's paying it out to his legal fees. And again, there has been negative news regarding the beneficial owner. Robert Hunter Biden, son of former Vice President Joe Biden, regarding allegations by his ex-wife that there were financial concerns about his extravagant spending on his own interest, drugs, strip clubs, prostitutes, etc., which may put his family in deep financial hole. More recent news indicates China targeting children of politicians and purchase of political influence through sweetheart deals. Specifically, Hunter Biden's $1.5 billion deal with the Chinese state to establish a private equity firm in which they manage the funds over time and make huge fees. By the way, this looks like it was quoted from Trump. The management company's purpose is to invest in companies that benefit Chinese government, benefit the Chinese government. Okay. Thus, the activity on the account appears unusual with no current business purpose, and along with the recent negative news, regarding Dr. Patrick Ho Ping's trial in the below email, may require reevaluation of Black relationship with the customer for your comment. And they attached a Wall Street Journal, a Breitbart article, Western Journal, and US Magazine? US Magazine? Hold on, shit. Is there a plus on this? USmagazine.com, Western Journal, flashback, blah, blah, blah. Can I copy this? Of course not. Yeah, so this person is quoting fucking Breitbart about the bad news about it. And so from this person or whatever at somethingbank.com, whatever the bank is, June 26, 2018, 4:30 in the afternoon, right before they go home for work. Subject, Hudson West 3 wire transfer order, $1 million to Owasco LLC, importance high. So the idea that he was trying to wire out $1 million from that account to him is this point. And I think this is when the deal fell apart. This is the fuck you money. This is when the thing had fallen apart and they're like, yeah. That's what it is. Yeah, so this person's quoting Breitbart. Just get the fuck out of here. It's so lame. Where was it? Where we go? There we go.
And that's the severity of it because it validates every.
I mean, honest to God, you have a bank person writing a letter about Hunter Biden and how he can't be trusted, and they're quoting Breitbart.
Thing that we've been saying about the president's son, he had shell companies. They were money laundering.
Yeah, that's not true.
He was an unregistered foreign agent for our biggest enemy in the world, and he's susceptible to bribery, to being compromised, and that's what the whole purpose of our investigation.
That's the whole purpose, is to say these things, not to prove these things.
Unregistered foreign agent for our biggest enemy in the world, and he's susceptible to bribery, to being.
Why? Why would he be susceptible to bribery? His dad's not in office anymore.
Compromised, and that's what the whole purpose of our investigation.
Congressman James Comer, 1st District of Kentucky, Chairman of the House Oversight Committee. Sir, thank you for talking to us on One American News.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John, who I know personally as a feller, and you're great, and that's wonderful, and a bunch of shit. Can I just, hold on, let me see if I can grab on here. Well, we'll just follow this through as it goes. It's just silliness. But I like the fact that these guys actively just cited this dude put Breitbart in there. Like, one of the things they keep bringing up is that like 40 different FBI agencies across this great country of ours received criminal information on the Bidens and they rejected it because it was all the same shit from the same people. Hold on, which was Breitbart reveal. Oh, that's the actual article. Exclusive. Peter Schweitzer reveals Joe Biden's son's massive deal with Chinese company trying to steal America's nuclear secrets. Hold on, this is good stuff. Hold on. This is from 20th of March 2018. That says exclusive. Peter Schweizer reveals Joe Biden's son's massive deal with Chinese company trying to steal America's nuclear secrets. President of the Government Accountability Institute, author of the new book, Secret Empires, How the American Political Class Hides Corruption and Enriches Family and Friends. Joint series at Breitbart News, talk about this. In an interview with them, editors-at-large Rebecca Mansour and Joel Pollack, Schweitzer highlighted the financial relationship between Hunter Biden and the Chinese state, including a $1.5 billion deal establishing a private equity firm, as an illustration that he dubbed the new corruption. He further explained how foreign governments purchase political influence through sweetheart deals. There's that guy's... The guy in that letter directly quotes the Breitbart article about sweetheart deals. It's just interesting. If you're going to borrow the language from someplace else. Also, let's see. Biden, China, let's see. I have to find probably. Let's see. Hunter Biden and China sorting through the murky thing. And yeah, so in terms of, let's go to here, if I may. Let me go to here first. This is the weirder part. So this is the $1.5 billion storyline. This nonsense. It's pretty adorable. So Trump says Hunter Biden walks out of China with $1.5 billion. Biden lawyers say that's not true. Okay, let's break this down a little bit. Alleged Wednesday that Hunter Biden got China to put $1.5 billion in a fund, an assertion that's been flatly denied by Biden's lawyer, who said his client has not received anything from the investment. That's from Schweitzer's book, Secret Empires. The first detailed how Hunter Biden flew to China on Air Force Two with his father in 2013. Schweitzer wrote in the summary of the book that 10 days after the Bidens arrived in China, Hunter Biden's firm scored a $1.5 billion deal with a subsidiary of Chinese government's Bank of China. Trump on Wednesday said, when Biden's son walks out of China with $1.5 billion in a fund, and the biggest funds in the world can't get money out of China, and he's there with one quick meeting, and he flies in on Air Force Two, I think that's a horrible thing. It's a horrible thing. Trump made his comments on the day that the White House released a transcript of his conversation, which he urged the president of Ukraine to look into Biden's work as a board member of Burisma and all that kind of shit. Okay. Inquiry into the conversation with Zelensky. Right. Hunter Biden did travel with his father on Air Force Two, December 4th, 2013. 12 days later, Hunter Biden joined the board of a just-formed investment advisory firm known as BHR, whose partners included Chinese entities. Affiliates of the advisory firm said they planned to raise 1.5. Affiliates of the advisory firm. This is the Bobolinsky dude. Some media reports over the past 5 years have described Hunter Biden as an owner of a private equity company that sought to raise that amount. However, George Mazier's lawyer for Hunter Biden said in an interview earlier this year that his client role has been misconstrued. He said Hunter Biden was on the board of the advisory firm that did not directly invest, but instead advised those who did. Moreover, Mazier said it was not until October 2017 that Hunter Biden acquired a financial stake in BHR. Hunter Biden bought a 10% equity interest that was worth $430,000 in July. Mazir said at least half of the firm's stake is owned by Chinese entities, according to business records. To date, Mr. Biden has not received any return or compensation on account of his investment or his position on the board of directors. The characterization of Mr. Biden as owning a $1.5 billion private equity firm funded by the Chinese or suggested that Mr. Biden has earned millions of dollars from the firm is a gross misrepresentation of Mr. Biden's role in BHR. The other thing, too, is, if I may, this is the sorting through the murky business deal, blah, blah, blah. If your time is short. Hunter Biden, son of former Vice President Joe Biden, had an investment deal that involved the Bank of China, but Trump's $1.5 billion figure may be exaggerated. How much it's exaggerated is unclear given lack of disclosures. We found no evidence that either of the Bidens broke any laws, but experts in political ethics say that the elder Biden would have been better served if his son had never gotten involved in the investment entity linked to China. Again, this is in 2017, post-presidency, whatever. Experts say it's not unusual for the Chinese government and state-affiliated businesses to court prominent Americans and their family members. Ivanka Trump, for example, was granted potentially lucrative trademark protections by the Chinese government while she was serving as a White House official. So Hunter Biden joins this firm at a $430,000 stake for 10% of the non-Chinese part of this to get a potential on any investments that panned out from this huge investment fund, which went away, by the way. And he's in trouble because 2017, because neither one of them are in fucking office anymore. Biden's not in office anymore, and it doesn't matter. But while Trump is president, Ivanka, gets. By the way, when as a favor from China. Let's see. An interview with Fox, Trump accused previous administration of being soft on China, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, Biden's son received over $1 billion from Chinese government state-owned bank. Meet Joe Biden, China's puppet. That was it. He delved into Hunter's business in China last fall, and around it became the talking point of Trump. We found that Hunter Biden did, in fact, have an investment deal that involved the Bank of China, but that Trump's 1.5 figure is exaggerated. During Joe Biden's tenure as vice president, a group of investment consulting firms run by Hunter Biden and Devon Archer pursued business with international entities that had a stake in American foreign policy decisions, sometimes in countries where connections implied political influence and protection. That's the New York Times report on it. One of the opportunities Biden found was in China. So let's take a look at that article. This would be Biden faces conflict of interest questions that are being promoted by Trump and allies. This is 2017 in Kiev. Again, this is after the renewed scrutiny. This might be this might be 2017 before they left office. That picture, anyways. His foreign policy role, Joe Biden exclusively embraced during his browbeating Ukraine's notoriously corrupt government to clean up its act. So the pressure campaign eventually worked. The prosecutor general, long a target of criticism from Western national leaders, was voted out months later by Ukrainian parliament. Among those at a stake in the outcome was Biden. That was the Burisma, Yale-educated lawyer, discharged from there after testing positive for cocaine. He would be paid as much as $50,000 a month in some months for his work at Burisma. So we've covered this shit before, but I would like to show you this other thing real quick on the side. Private equity firms seek a way out of China after U.S. $1.5 trillion betting spree. Mounting concern. This is the reality of what's happening there right now. People are bugging the fuck out. This is from November 14th of this year. Mounting concerns about the risks of investing in China have seen secondary buyers demanding discounts of 30% more to 50%. Sources say deals in China involving private equity firms are on track to slide for a second straight year after plunging by 50% last year, according to Bloomberg. So, yeah. That's that. Now, let's jump over, if I may, real quick before we run out of time. And we're going to again, I know it. I have to see what this is. What the fuck is Silk talking about? Silk is pissed off about being targeted by Jack Smith and the Biden regime. Well, let's hear it. She's pissed off. I don't know why.
MyPillow.com and use promo code Diamond.
Yeah, of course.
Don't forget to use promo code Diamond. Okay. Now, I don't know if y'all heard this, but I heard that Senator Dick Durbin just blocked Senators Marsha Blackburn, her request there to subpoena the Epstein's flight list. That's what I had heard, y'all. Listen, this is some bull crap. I wonder, what are these people hiding? What are they hiding around here? And what don't they want us to know and see? I just want to know that. I'm just curious about that.
I'm curious too.
What don't they want us to know and see? But yet we got this Jack Smith here that can go here and over there to Twitter and request all of President Trump's tweets and who he tweeted and who liked and all of this different stuff.
Yeah, because he was a public official.
And keep in mind now that President Trump follows Diamond and Silk over there on Twitter, okay?
Yeah, but he doesn't post there anymore, ever since he was kicked off, and he stayed off there because he has a contract with True Social.
He's retweeted Diamond and Silk, and Diamond and Silk have retweeted President Donald J. Trump. So I need to know if I'm on some type of list. Am I being targeted here is what I need to know.
No. And thank you for playing. Yeah, you're public enemy number one. Congratulations. We're all very, very, very proud. I'd love to follow that idea as far as it's worth, and it's pretty much that's that. All right, one last thing, and then I'll be on my way for this evening because I got to prep for the radio tomorrow. The Housemarks radio program Megaworldwide is on Saturdays, 9 to 11 Pacific time, with our dear friend Johnny Million, and Philip Bittner will be joining us to talk about what's going on in Ukraine. Lots of progress there, and the European Union, members of the European Union, and mainly the NATO nations, I would guess, have just supplied Ukraine with 2 months specifically of ammunition to get them through the winter, enough for them to meet all their goals. So there was a big panic attack about that in Russia. We'll get to that later. Now, I mean, most of you, obviously, in my audience, think this, that Israel controls the U.S. And so, I mean, can you really blame either Trump or Joe Biden for? I mean, can you obviously Israel is making Joe Biden tell them to slow roll the invasion, the push into Gaza, to work on the hostage release that they made him do. That was Israel making Joe Biden do that. And then when Trump gave them the Golan Heights and moved the embassy and then recognized Jerusalem as the capital, Israel made Donald Trump do that. He wouldn't have done it on his own. And yeah, there we go. So let's how Israel controls the U.S. Let me guess, AIPAC and Jews. Let's see. We may not do this whole thing because what the fuck?
How the Israel lobby controls some of the information, not just the information, but what the government does.
I see. Some of what the government does is controlled by the Israel lobby. Obviously, puppet masters.
And why it is that you see a vote of 97-0 by the U.S. Senate to send more aid, quote unquote, weaponry, etc., to Israel, to not demand a ceasefire. This is back several days ago.
Right, before the ceasefire? Before the current ceasefire. Right. To demand, that's how it happened. So before the ceasefire that was going on when he taped this, and the one that the United States specifically negotiated, everybody was voting to not do it instead if they were.
But
yeah,
97-0. How is it that you end up with it that one-sided, that biased? How is it you end up with both corporate parties?
I don't know. Why aren't there more people in the Senate who are pro terrorists helicoptering into a music festival, raping and murdering women and dragging their dead bodies through the street so people can spit on them? Why?
Exactly on the same page on this, not even a soul voting against it. And then in the House, only a handful, I don't know what the actual number was, I think it was maybe 12 or something, voted against the so-called support for Israel. And
can you be more specific? There's been like 3 fucking bills. And they haven't done the actual Israel. They're tying Israeli aid to the Ukrainian. That's still working its way through. I don't know. Like there was there was the vote to affirm that Israel has a right to exist recently. That was the one that was tabled. And it's maybe the vote he's talking about, which is not aid. It's simply just a non-binding resolution to recognize that Israel should still be a country.
Yes, part of it is simply by paying and bribing these politicians, right?
Why? Why would you have to bribe them? With what?
Part of it, and you can view all these numbers at Open Secrets. Part of it is just by giving huge donations to these politicians in the United States. The number one on the list, by the way.
If Iran has billions of dollars and they're funneling it to Hamas, why didn't Hamas just buy the politicians? Why don't they just funnel money, just outspend them? They've got the money. Or would the constituency have an issue?
For senators all time, so he's not a senator now, but he was, number one on the list of receiving money from Israel lobby groups, which is AIPAC, and there's some other.
Sorry, who was?
And yes, part of it is simply by paying and bribing these politicians, right? Part of it, and you can view all these numbers at Open Secrets. Part of it is just by giving huge donations to these politicians in the United States. The number one on the list, by the way, for senators all time, so he's not a senator now, but he was, number one on the list of receiving money from Israel lobby groups, which is AIPAC, and there's some other, NORPAC, I think is another one. There's a few others. Number one on the list of senators all time. Can you guess who it is? Anybody want to throw in some guesses? Joseph Biden. Number one recipient of Israel money.
Hold on one second. Let's see. Where do you go? Let's see. AIPAC per senator. How much? Let's see. AIPAC secretly pouring money into Millions into defeating progressive. That's the response to this one. Let's see. Joe Biden, #1 recipient of Israel lobby money. Something like that. What do you think? Pro-Israel money to Congress. Let's see. From Open Secrets. This is the okay. So yeah, this is what he's using. He's using Open Secrets as far as this business. You want to know why? Hold on one second. I'll show you also. Let's see. Joe Biden candidate, because he ran for president and they paid it. This is Joe Biden. Yeah, 4.2, 228,614. Menendez, Hillary Clinton, all of them in the 2 million zone. Lieberman, 1.9. Do you think they had to buy it the way, or he was just the most supportive? You want to see why he might be the guy they chose to give money to it? I'll show you real quick. That's why. Whoops, hold on. I'm a Zionist. How Joe Biden's lifelong bond with Israel shapes war policy. When Joe Biden met with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu with his war cabinet during the visit to Israel, the U.S. president assured him, "I don't believe you have to be a Jew to be a Zionist. I'm a Zionist," meaning that Israel should exist. That's the group of Zionists. Like, Zionists has gotten a bad rap, but the Zionist movement initially was that there should be an Israel state. That's the difference. Now there's a difference between, like, the modern, like, Orthodox, there's like an Orthodox Zionism idea, which is like the conspiracy theory group, which believes that, there shouldn't be any Palestinian territories at all. That's what it gets mostly associated with, but that's what, anyways, this is the old way of saying it, but whatever. Politicians and generals gathered in the boardroom tell, according to U.S. officials, Biden is of Irish Catholic descent, used similar words in the past to profess his affinity, but the moment, which has not been previously reported, illustrates how Biden's decades as one of leading friends of Israel in American politics seem to be guiding him during a defining crisis of his presidency. Biden's connection to Israel is deeply ingrained in his political DNA, said Aaron David Miller. Whether he likes it or not, he's in the midst of a crisis they'll have to manage. Reuters interviewed a dozen current and former aides, lawmakers, and analysts, some of whom said Biden's current wartime embrace of Netanyahu could afford the U.S. leverage to try to moderate Israel's response in Gaza. Now, this is the part that really stands out. So Biden, there was a story that came out, and it's been in a few of the biographies about Obama and about the Obama-Biden administration, that Biden said the way you get Israel to behave itself is to hug it tight. That was his words. Hug it tight, because if you distance it at all, they will find other support. And if they're not listening to us, if they don't view us as a deep ally, they'll just act rogue on their own. And that could lead to them attacking Iran or nuking Iran at some point out of a sense of panic. If they think they're alone out there, they'll do a bunch of crazy shit. So the better idea is to get them, is like he said, hug them tight. That was the idea.
To politicians.
It sounds like they've rewarded him for his deep commitment.
Number 3 is something like number 3 on the list is Hillary Clinton, even though she wasn't in the Senate nearly as long as Biden was. But
yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? 60 fucking years. It's of all the people that are in that list. Also, he's the one who served in there the longest, which may have a lot to do with it. Yeah, this kind of or it served the longest and was the closest or whatever. So McConnell is still not as close, but McCain was way up there. He was in for a long time. Ted Cruz, 1.2 million. Durbin. And this is, by the way, all cycles, all senators, sort by amount. Money to Congress. Hold on one second. Interest groups, ideology to state. Hold on. I got to shrink this back down. Control minus. Yeah. Okay. And this is, by the way, industries in this sector. Pro-Israel. Ideology, single issue. It doesn't say, interestingly enough, which one we're talking about. Unless the page are based on contributions from PACs and individuals giving $200 or more. All donations took place between 1989 and the current cycle. Data for the current cycle were released by the Federal Election Commission on Monday, March 20th, 2023. Feel free to distribute or cite this material, but please credit Open Secrets or whatever. Okay, so this is data from 1989 to now. And I guess Jews individually giving $200 or more over the years from 1989 is why he has those numbers. And as a matter of fact, that would point to the fact, which Lee accidentally makes, that all these folks, like Robert Menendez, there you go, and Hillary Clinton, and even Joe Lieberman and Mitch McConnell, and all these people who served less time, and because during the election cycle post-Trump, that Joe Biden raised a shit ton of money when he was running for president, that they will add to this, I guess. This is all senators, period, by amount. Let's see, by name. Let's look at the rest down here. By state. Okay, so here's the other two. Delaware. Okay, candidate by state. All senators. Well, is this broaden out? I guess not. Okay. I guess because he's president now, they just, whatever. These guys are no longer there. So these guys aren't in the state anymore. But then we get to Alabama. There's Louisiana. Surprisingly little money. Yeah, Delaware for Maine. Olympia Snow, $142,000. But George Mitchell, $1,750. Just individuals giving money. There we go. And then Marsha Blackburn was at the bottom of this one. Yeah, here's New York. 2.3 million for Hillary, 1.7 million for Schumer. Kirsten Gillibrand, 566,000. Alphonse D'Amato. Yeah, so most of it, this is New York money. And here's Oregon, Ron Wyden. Ron Wyden's got 1.2 million. I would argue that even Lee Camp would not argue that that Ron Wyden's somebody who's for sale necessarily, but whatever. Again, people donate. This is anybody who votes more than $200, not the lobby.
So yes,
this is an illusion, by the way. I would like to point out that fact that according to Open Secrets, individuals from 1989 to now, any person who's considered supportive of Israel who donates over $200 is, there you go.
Part of it is just bribing them, right? Part of it is paying for their campaigns and they stick with it. But
it's also, they support candidates who really do believe.
An important aspect of it that is not really talked about enough is the fact that they also threaten politicians who start to go against Israel, start to support BDS, even just saying things like Palestine should be free. These things that you and I may take for granted, even just saying things like that. What they do is AIPAC, these others, NORPAC.
Well, because AIPAC and NORPAC and these other groups, and I guess anybody with over $200 to give to a politician since 1989, all look at Palestine should be free as coded language. Some people say it, I think, with a certain innocence and a belief that they mean Gaza and the West Bank should be self-determinant, and there should be a two-state solution. That's how most people, I think, view it. But AIPAC and a lot of the movements around it, the people that show up at marches organized with Palestinian flags and that kind of stuff, when they say Palestine should be free, they mean not just Israel, by the way, not just fuck the Jews in Israel and wipe that out, but also reclaim Lebanon or Jordan.
The Israel lobby groups, they will fund a candidate.
Also, let me just point out that, as I showed you in that little thing, that when he says Israel lobby groups, that's a lie, because literally the number he is citing is anybody who donates over $200 where one of their primary issues is the existence of Israel or support for Israel, which is a huge, especially in New York City or other cities where like that's a major issue, is a lot of fucking people.
To kick that guy or woman out of office. And they may fund them to some crazy amount in order to try their best to get them out of office. And that aspect of it will not show up on the donations, right? Because
yeah, it will, but only if the person that they primary or run up against gets elected.
You find out that someone lost an election. It's not, you don't often connect it to like, oh, the Israel lobby was carefully making sure that person lost their election. So
how do they do that? How does the Israel lobby? Yeah, he's saying the exact same thing the right-wing nut jobs are saying. The globalist Jews are against the U.S. and puppet mastering it. How does the how does the Israeli lobby, and this is, Cenk does this a lot too, this idea that you can buy elections, or that the Israel lobby, by, I don't know, dumping a bunch of money or supporting a candidate and allowing them to buy yard signs and shit like that, is enough to get that person over the hump. It's basically buying that election because people are so dough-headed and fucking stupid that that AIPAC can hide their secret Jewish cabal behind the veneer of running a black candidate in an area just that supports Israel versus one that doesn't, who in a debate will say they do versus the other person who will say they don't if it comes up. Where's the secret? Where's the fucking secret? Again, Citizens United had an enormous impact before the internet and the ability to buy like Facebook ads became a thing.
The current biggest example, right, would be Rashida Tlaib. Now, they want to get her, they desperately want to get her out of office. She is one of a tiny number of politicians in the House who say free Palestine, who
voted against Israel's right to exist by voting present.
Who say that Israel is an apartheid state, who
which it isn't.
Actually use those words, who voted against the quote.
Right, and that's why do you think the Israeli lobby and American Jews in particular who are concerned about the existence of Israel would want to push back against that? Is it just because Israel's a fucking like religious theme park that they sell tickets to, and so it's just money upon money or whatever? The problem I have with this kind of mentality is that it makes everything oil. Everything is oil with these motherfuckers. Everything is just who can be bought and sold for what. There are no true believers in this. And the problem isn't, and you'll never, if you wanted to solve this, for example, you want a two-state solution, or you want quote unquote free Palestine and this stuff. If you just attribute this to money buys elections and these people pay off these people because nobody buys this shit, they're just finding somebody that they can run against them and they're just paying for it. And the fact that they're paying for it, and it's all, again, the money and blood libel aspect of the Jewish myth, we'll put that aside for a second, which is just fucking gross. But even then, you're not even solving the fucking problem that you say you're seeking to solve, which is if you have true believers and you think what they believe is wrong, then the process of convincing them is going to be a long and arduous one. And if the vast majority of people in the United States or any particular district, including Rashida Tlaib's, and she's going to more than likely lose in the next election, if she doesn't lose the primary first and get a Republican in there who goes, I'm a least friend to Israel, but we need to fix crime in our area. Like, believe me, they're gonna move somebody in there as well. But Democrats, in the area where there may be AIPAC or NORPAC or any of these other groups who may be supporting Israel, maybe, going after and trying to primary her for this particular reason, also are looking at the fact that the vast majority of voters will ultimately, they have to believe that spending that money on that person that will support Israel will get that person elected. Because if the vast majority of the people in Rashida Tlaib's district don't believe Israel should exist, or have, or believe that their representative should vote present whenever a non-binding resolution about the existence of Israel should come to the floor, if they believe that, then no amount of money from the fucking Israel PAC is going to change anything. They just didn't think she would go this far. Yeah, pro-Israel is $60 a barrel, exactly.
Put more aid to Israel, and they are doing their best to fund opposition to her and get her out of Congress, because just that little tiny handful in the House is too much for the Israel lobby.
Yeah, this isn't a diversity thing. They're going after her because she specifically doesn't believe that Israel should exist. Of course, the AIPAC lobby is a hammer. And if you suddenly become a nail because you're like, I don't even think there should be an Israel, of course they're going to go after you, dumb fuck. And of course the people in that constituency who are seeing this stuff may give them an actual case to be made. Oi.
Because just that tiny little bit of truth is dangerous.
It's not the truth. If it was the truth, then they couldn't put a candidate up that would get her knocked off. If she's representative of her district and her district actually believes that, then all they'll do is they run a bunch of ads like Rashida Tlaib doesn't believe Israel should exist, which would drive more of those fuckers out to the polls. If that's the general consensus in her district, then all their ads would do is shore her up.
They, of course, got Congress to censure her just a few days ago for daring to.
They just got it. They got him to do it.
Say that Palestine should be free. But
no, for saying from the river to the sea, and then voting in a way that voting present on whether Israel should exist at all. So the idea that she's like, I'm saying free Palestine, like the idea that she's saying free Palestine, like you and I more than likely say free Palestine, which is we believe there should be a two-state solution and that the people in Gaza and the West Bank should be able to have self-determinate governance, right? Well, I've been a two-stater for a long time. I think most of us have. That's how we believe. And when we say free Palestine, that's what the fuck we're talking about, right? That's what most people are talking about. When Rashida Tlaib says it, she could, up until the vote present on Israel's existence, she could have said, that's what I mean. I believe in a two-state solution, and I want the people of Gaza and I want the people of the West Bank to be self-determined. She could have said that and gotten away with it. She could have sold that as an idea to both her constituents and the American people and said, I actually believe in a two-state solution. She didn't have to say it out loud, all by saying free Palestine. Just let it sit in the vast majority of people who believe in a two-state solution and have for decades. We would go, oh, okay, that's what she means. That's what she meant. Even though she didn't, let's be abundantly clear. That's not what she means. When she means from the, free Palestine, she means from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free of Jews. That's what Rashida Tlaib is saying. That's why she got censored. She didn't get censured. She didn't get censured because she just said free Palestine. She said what she said because she means Israel shouldn't exist. Period. At all. That's why she voted present. And if you're going to talk about somebody who's bought by a lobby, for example, or is captured by their ideology and cannot have any wiggle room, there's more of an argument when you have the vast majority who believe in a two-state solution, who believe free Palestine again means that that Gaza and the West Bank should either have a joint government that looks over both places or even separate governments, but that they can be, their own states and they can thrive and they can interact with Israel peacefully, because I think that's how most people view this. You should be okay. She wouldn't have gotten censured. She wouldn't have. And even after the censure, she follows it up with, she votes present on a resolution that Israel has the right to exist. Linda says, you're wrong, Hal. That phrase initially did not mean what you say. Please research it. It means it now. I'm telling you again. All right. And again, I don't know if you mean you're wrong about me saying it means the two areas mean free Palestine or the river to the sea idea of brooming everyone out, because that, again, that's the question. The question is now, what does it mean to her? Doesn't matter what you're or even my take on what it should mean. And I think most of us, and chat room, I'm curious. Most of us in the chat room believe in a two-state solution. Yes, in general. Right? Just, that's it, right? I mean, I do. I think that's what, and I think when most people when you say free Palestine, what you mean is that Gaza and the West Bank should either be free on their own as two separate entities or bonded together and under one rule of the Palestinian Authority or the PLO back in the day, or one version of it over time from the attempts with Yasser, right? That's what we mean. That's what you and I, in a colloquial sense, when we say free Palestine, that's what we're talking about, okay? And that's the assumptive use of that phrase in this country most of the time. When people say that, when they're walking around for the fucking sign that says free Palestine, I, in good faith, assume that if I cornered them and I said, what do you mean by free Palestine? They'd go, I believe the Palestinian people should have the right to self-determination, and that Gaza and the West Bank should be, the Israeli government shouldn't blockade them, and that they should have their ability to govern and not have sanctions or any of that shit on them. They should be able to interact. Okay, that's where we want to get to. That's where I want to get. That's where I think most people want to get. So I would assume that that's what, I'm assuming good intentions in those people, okay? Because I think they mean well, right? Even if they're walking right next to somebody who is completely full of shit, hates Jews, and wants Israel to end. And the vast majority of these big marches, it's like 80-20. 20% of the people that are there are like, free Palestine. I believe they should, there should be a Palestinian state that self-determines alongside Israel, and they should be able to act together in peace and harmony. And the other 80% at these fucking marches are like, fuck the Jews. If you look at what happened in Sydney or what happened in London, a bunch of these, that's in general. And I know this is a gross generalization. It might be 60-40 where you are, but even in general, if I walked up to one person and asked them, even with my belief that it's about 80-20, that 80% don't believe in Israel existing, my assumption when I talk to this person, if they say free Palestine, is that they mean well. That they mean a Palestinian state that exists in the Gaza Strip and in the West Bank, and that they can have some, right? That's right. Yes, all Western nations support a two-state solution, including Biden. Exactly. Right? And there is no apartheid state. It doesn't quite work that way. Apartheid is a totally different thing. It's just we use that word because the elimination of South African apartheid worked as a political movement, so people are borrowing those words. It does not apply materially. And again, you have to solve for the problem you have, not for the problem you can accuse someone of. But in this particular instance, Tlaib, but why Tlaib required to define it? Because she's an elected representative. She doesn't just represent herself and her own personal beliefs. She represents a district. And that's exactly the point I'm making. And when she said what she said, when she used those phrases like from the river to the sea and Palestine, and free Palestine and Palestine will be free and all that. And like she used most of those phrases intermittently. I, like a lot of people, was kind of okay with assuming that what she meant was, the two-state solution. That Gaza and the West Bank should be able to live in peace and harmony with the Israelis and their surrounding countries. And that should be that. No more war between them. There's no reasoning behind it. That should be how I would give her the benefit of the doubt. I think most of us would give her the benefit of the doubt in the situation. This is what most people did. Now, the Congress voted to censure her because everybody around her, even though it wasn't necessarily put out in the news much, except in I suppose in some areas of Breitbart and some other like low rumbling New York Times articles, the specific way she meant it, the people around her, the people that interact with her, the people that talk with her in committees and see her in the hallways and work with her as a fellow congressperson or staffers interacting, know full well that when she says free Palestine from the river to the sea and all that kind of stuff, she means the end of Israel. She has an extreme view compared to everybody else in her caucus, even much less the vast majority of Democrats, and I would argue the majority of her constituents. But you could ride over top of it and just kind of blow it off because all she said was free Palestine, and when I hear free Palestine, I think of a two-state solution. So do you. But she voted present on on a non-binding resolution that Israel has a right to exist. Not Israel has a right to defend itself, which might be a militaristic thing, which might rub her the wrong way. Exist. Now, Thomas Massey from Kentucky voted against it. I don't know what the fuck that was about, except maybe he's trying to be the new Ron Paul or Rand Paul and like, I vote against anything that we shouldn't be voting on because it's stupid, it's a waste of time. Does that ballpark, does that get us on the same page and show us how bad faith this dickhead is? It was a Freudian slip where I said bad face.
Here's how bad it is.
This is how bad it is.
So there is another politician in Michigan. He's a wealthy businessman named, last name's Nasser.
Yeah, just look it up.
First name,
Yasser?
Is that it? Anyway, I'll call him Nasser. Anyway, wealthy businessman. He's not running against Rashida Tlaib. He's running for the Senate in Michigan. And watch what he had to say as to what they did to try and get Rashida Tlaib.
Oh, this is the guy that he's running for Senate, and he says the AIPAC offered $20 million for his campaign, like a super PAC support, if he would run against Rashida Tlaib. Out
of office. The amount of money being thrown around.
I was offered $20 million to withdraw from the senatorial race and run against my friend Rashida Tlaib. The pro-Israel lobby will go to any length to remove anybody
AIPAC prepares a $100 million challenge to squad members.
from the U.S. Congress that has any opposition to their agenda and their.
Why would they go to? Okay, I have a real quick question. This guy's really quiet. It's hard to hear what he's saying because his audio is playing really low on here. So I feel you guys when you. Here's my question. So AIPAC allegedly goes to this dude, offers him $20 million to run against Rashida Tlaib, drop out of the Senate race, which he's going to lose, and run against Rashida Tlaib. And they don't know that he's against the existence of Israel. They picked this guy to AIPAC, the American Israeli Political Action Committee, or whatever you. They're going to pay this guy. They didn't bother to vet this dude. Clear on the basic fact, this guy's, what's his name? Nasser? Yasser. They didn't, you don't think AIPAC checked this dude out and whether or not he differs from her political beliefs about the existence of Israel before they offered him $20 million to run against her? This doesn't seem hinky and bullshit and full of shit. Yeah, exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, oh, nope, wrong one. Bullshit! That's right. To go to here. I call bullshit. I like, honest to God. Lee Camp is still mad as RT money dried up. Yeah. I mean, this is a guy who has to like restart from scratch, and he thinks that RT intentionally folding its tent and fucking off it was Joe Biden running them out. Yeah. So Mike, Lee Camp had a show on Russia Today for years. So Vladimir Putin paid this motherfucker's rent for the better part of a decade. And when the Ukraine war started, RT shut down its Western outlets for a couple of reasons. One is they were fairly certain that as much trouble as they were having in their own country with like that woman who came out and held up a sign, no war, and stopped the attack on Ukraine and stuff, and they had to get rid of her. They were fairly certain that it would be even harder to keep people from, I mean, obviously Lee Camp, they could keep on a fish hook. He wasn't going to shit on the Ukraine war. He was going to applaud it and call them Nazis, I suppose. I'm speaking hyperbolically because I don't fucking know. We never got a chance to find out because they went away. And they dropped it because even if Lee Camp would support Ukraine or would say what Russia did was wrong, he wasn't going to be allowed to say that if he did feel it on RT, ever. Okay? RT was not going to let that fly in the United States. That's why they shut down the RT in the United States. And insofar as RT itself, it's on the fucking internet. It's not blocked in the United States because it's no longer on cable because these dumb motherfuckers shut down their New York office. And then I think their UK office as well, and their studio there, and fired everybody because of the war, because they're basically battening down the hatches. It was a fucking propaganda ministry, but you can't have an actual outlet for the propaganda in the country that is supporting the person you're attacking. Putin had no dollars to give to RT. Well, the concern is that they would run out of money during this or not be able to pay these folks because of sanctions, and that these folks would start spilling the tea or telling the truth or whatever. And instead, they all just got fucking kicked to the curb. And he was one of them. Lee Camp worked for all the shit, and this is the other thing, for all the shit about bought politicians. Who's paying your bills? You are on the hook for whoever pays your fucking bills. This motherfucker worked for Russia Today for the better part of a decade. And we're supposed to assume that he is the exception to the rule. That he said whatever he wanted, and he was hired because he had total freedom of fucking speech at Russia Today, and that they shut down because the U.S. government, which did no action to shut them down in the United States, because while they were an affiliate of Russia Today in Russia, they were incorporated in the United States. So they would have been, I guess, gotten around sanctions. Especially, maybe they would have had to be, like, financially, they weren't totally self-sufficient, so they would have had to funnel money through, but that's their fucking problem. The reality is, though, if it was a money-making enterprise in the United States, it would have stayed open. Yeah, redacted tonight was the same shit. Yeah, that was on, yeah, RT was his other thing. One of the reasons why he called his show Redacted Tonight was to hide what RT meant, so that his show could benefit from RT.com and not draw a lot of attention to the fact that he worked for Russia Today. But again, I'd like to remind you that if you take money from an organization, they own you. They tell you what to say. You don't have any freedom whatsoever. If a politician gets money from a super PAC or whatever, they are owned by that super PAC, and they cannot vote against them, even if they do. And there's a myriad of areas where they do, and in negotiations where they go against what the hardliners in a country want, or even, like put limitations on aid like Joe Biden is doing. Even if you do that, it's because they told you to, or they let you, just to give you fucking cover. It's all a big fucking, like, these are all dollar bills with fish hooks in it. You're all the baby on the Nirvana album cover. You are. Not Lee, though. Lee can work for Russia Today for a decade, and everything he says and is allowed to say is his choice. If they had kept the doors open, Lee, if he felt that, that the rape and murder of women and children, the sodomizing of children with like metal objects, the castration on camera of a POW by Russian soldiers, if he felt for a moment, and I can't imagine why he would, that was wrong, he could have said it on Russia Today, and they would have let him. He just never really brought it up anywhere, and even since. Now, he's on Rumble now, and, Rumble gets a lot of its seed money from overseas. And there's a lot of, like, fake views that get stacked on Rumble because they're trying to artificially push it up into the YouTube zone. And it's not working, but, it's better than nothing, I suppose. And they got, basically, Lee effectively looks like Russell Brand's stunt double anyways. So maybe people, they figure people with old Trumpies with bad eyesight won't know the fucking difference, right? Yeah, locals, shit like that, same thing. But that's the thing that sticks out the most, is that he can get money from Vladimir Putin directly, basically, effectively signing his checks every week for years. And he says what he says, and nobody can stop him from saying what he says, because he never would even think to push back on anything that Russia does naturally. He just agrees, I guess, or just he has his bigger fish to fry. He could bring it up, but he's got other stuff to do. It's the Canadian girlfriend of issues. He could bring it up if he wanted to, but you guys just wouldn't understand. He can do that. You can't. If you're running for office and somebody likes your support of their cause, if the nurses union gives you money, they're a special interest. The fuck do nurses as a living have to do with teachers or firefighters or police or mine workers, whoever? They're a special interest. And if a special interest group like the nurses union gives you money because of your support for nurses, and you actually believe they should be better paid, because, like in my case, my mom's a nurse and I'm acutely aware of how underpaid and how difficult their job is, that it's not because I had those ideas and they go, hey, here's a candidate that understands our point of view, that agrees with us, and therefore we're going to pay him, we're going to give campaign support to this person because we need an advocate that gets us. It's not that. It's that no matter the fact that my mom was a nurse, no matter the fact that I sat by while she and her fellow nurses had a lawsuit against doctors not giving them a pay raise that went on for 8 fucking years. It's not that I was sitting there around the kitchen table being fundamentally aware of that fight for the better part of a decade myself. That's not why I give a shit about nurses, because the nurses union gave money to my campaign, and so I'm owned by the fucking nurses union. That's the argument. That's the argument he makes, and that's the exact same argument that Cenk Uygur makes all the fucking time. You're bought and fucking paid for. There are no true believers. Your mom's a nurse? I knew. Yes, my mom is a nurse, an RN her whole life. Right. But again, I'm not kidding. I'm dead serious. If I supported, if I ran for office, when I run for office, and if I got the support of the nurses union, these dumb motherfuckers, like, he wouldn't say it because he doesn't give a shit about, like, he likes to pretend he gives a fuck about nurses or something. That would be a special interest he would be okay with. But Republicans will say the fucking nurses union, they're a special interest. That's the point I'm trying to make, is that whoever the special interest is, anybody who disagrees with me. It couldn't be that they agree with my point of view and that I'm running and they're in alignment with what I'm running about, and so therefore they're supporting the campaign. It couldn't possibly be that. It has to be that they just picked me because I'm, easily baitable and I can be bought. Now, why would you think that of everyone else automatically, if not for the fact that that's exactly who you are? That Cenk Uygur, for example, who was a Republican for years, who, when he started the Young Turks, named it after effectively the neo-Nazi group of the Turks, and then effectively like switched over to the left side of things because that's where the money was, and just bloviates about shit as long as the cash comes in. And then as soon as it starts to fade, they suddenly start moderating on certain issues so that they could draw in a controversy thing. So you get right-wingers like, oh, maybe they're flipping over to our side. That, right? Chasing the buck. Halfway between audience capture and then just trying to chase wherever the dollar is currently in the media. And this motherfucker working for RT for a fucking decade and then telling people that they're bought and paid for. Cenk named it after a Rod Stewart song. Horse shit. You don't name it after a Rod Stewart song and deny the Armenian genocide at the same time. That you don't, most people wouldn't even have enough awareness to deny the Armenian genocide in the first place. Yes, he's Turkish. Of course, right? Other than that, I have no opinion. I love you guys. I got to take off. I went long tonight, but that's what happens when you rant. You know what I mean? I have to see. Does my rant thing still work? God damn it. Yeah, I haven't thrown my goddamn rant thing on in a while. I got to work on that. That said, I will see you guys tomorrow for the House Parks radio program Mega Worldwide on these interstreams and webs and whatnot. Like, subscribe, please give a like on the way out if you haven't already liked the stream. Appreciate it. Share the show, share the clips, comment on stuff, all the stuff I'm supposed to say that I never say. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else, and I'll see you tomorrow for the radio show. Okay, and good night. Thank you so much. Thank you. Demon that ad time. Thank you. Pamela, thank you for liking the stream. Thanks for following, guys. Look at the subscribers. Yay. Subscribe on Twitch, by the way. If you have Amazon Prime, it doesn't cost you a dime. Thank you, guys. I gotta go feed my cat. And that is not a euphemism. God bless your nice. Love you, Age of Color. Love you guys.